I was standing in the middle of my company party wearing a tailored suit that fit perfectly across my shoulders, feeling the confidence that comes from 2 years of hard work in the gym. My career was finally taking off. Then my phone buzzed. A text from a name I had deleted 3 years ago, Francesca. She wrote that she missed me, that she had been wrong. 3 years earlier, she left me when I lost my job, fell into depression, and lived in a run-down apartment. Now she wanted back in. Before I continue this story, let me ask you something. Where are you watching from right now? Drop your city or country in the comments below. If you have ever been abandoned by someone when you were at your lowest point, hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. I want to know, do you think I should give Francesca a second chance? Stay with me until the end to see what I decided, because this journey taught me everything about love, self-worth, and what it really means to glow up. I need to take you back to where it all started. I met Francesca at a coffee shop in downtown Boston when I was 26 years old. She was working as a marketing coordinator for a tech company, and the moment I saw her, I could not look away. She had long brown hair that fell past her shoulders, a smile that could light up any room, and this way of talking that made you feel like you were the only person in the world. I was a software developer back then, pulling in a solid salary, living in a nice apartment, feeling like I had my whole life figured out. Our first date was at an Italian restaurant near the waterfront. We talked for 4 hours straight, closing down the place without even realizing it. Francesca told me she admired ambitious men who knew what they wanted and went after it. She said she loved that I had a stable career, that I was building something real. I remember thinking that night that I had finally found my person, the one I would spend my life with. After a year of dating, dinners at fancy restaurants, weekend road trips to Vermont and Maine, late-night conversations about our future, we decided to move in together. We found a beautiful 2-bedroom apartment with big windows and hardwood floors. I thought I was going to marry this woman. I was already looking at engagement rings. Then everything fell apart. The company I had worked at for 5 years got acquired by a larger corporation. Within 3 months, they announced massive layoffs. I walked into work on a Tuesday morning and walked out 2 hours later with a cardboard box and a severance package that would barely cover 3 months of rent. Just like that, 5 years of dedication meant nothing. I tried to stay positive at first. I updated my resume, reached out to my network, applied to every job posting I could find. But the tech industry was going through a rough patch, and rejection after rejection piled up in my inbox. Sorry, we decided to go with another candidate. Thank you for your interest, but we are not moving forward. Each email felt like another punch to the gut. Our savings started disappearing fast. The fancy dinners stopped. The weekend trips became a thing of the past. Eventually, I had to have the conversation I had been dreading. We needed to move somewhere cheaper. Francesca did not take it well. When we packed up our beautiful apartment and moved to a small 1-bedroom in the suburbs, I watched something change in her eyes. She started working late more often. When she came home, she barely looked at me. The woman who used to curl up next to me on the couch now sat on the opposite end, scrolling through her phone. I tried to talk to her about it, tried to explain that this was temporary, that I would find something soon. She just sighed and said I needed to figure it out myself. The depression crept in slowly, then all at once. I stopped going to the gym. I stopped shaving. I gained weight and spent most of my days on the couch, sending out applications that went nowhere and watching my self-esteem crumble. I did not recognize the person staring back at me in the mirror. One evening, I came home from another failed interview to find Francesca in the bedroom, folding clothes into a suitcase. My heart dropped into my stomach. She did not even look up when she spoke. She said this was not working anymore. She said she had signed up for a partner, not a project. Those words hit me like a sledgehammer. I begged her to stay, promised her I would find a job, swore that everything would get better. She finally looked at me, and her eyes were cold, completely empty of the warmth I had fallen in love with. She told me she needed someone who was already successful, not someone who might be someday. Then she zipped up her suitcase, grabbed her purse, and walked out the door without looking back. I stood there in the doorway watching her drive away, feeling like my entire world had just collapsed. 2 weeks later, I made the mistake of checking her social media. There she was, smiling in a photo with another man. He had his arm around her waist, standing next to a luxury car, wearing a watch that probably cost more than 3 months of my old salary. She had not just left me. She had replaced me. The pain doubled, then tripled. I spent that night lying on my mattress on the floor, staring at the ceiling, wondering if Francesca was right. Maybe I really was worthless. For 3 months after Francesca left, I barely existed. I stopped applying for jobs. I stopped answering calls from friends and family. I ate takeout every night and watched my weight climb by almost 40 pounds. I did not shave, did not shower, some days did not see the point in any of it. The apartment became a reflection of my mental state. Dirty dishes in the sink, clothes scattered everywhere, blinds permanently closed. Then one morning I caught a glimpse of myself in the bathroom mirror, and I did not recognize the person looking back. Bloodshot eyes, unkempt, beard, skin pale from never going outside. I looked like a ghost of the man I used to be. My phone rang. It was my mother. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. The moment I heard her voice crack, the moment I heard her crying because she was so worried about me, something inside me shifted. She said words I will never forget. She told me I was more than any job, more than any woman. She told me I was her son and I was worthy of love and happiness and everything good in this world. I broke down crying right there on the bathroom floor. But when the tears stopped, something had changed. A small flame had ignited somewhere deep inside me. I made a decision in that moment. If Francesca left because she saw the worst version of me, then I was going to build the best version of myself. Not for her, not to win her back, but to prove to myself that I was not defined by my lowest moment. The first thing I did was find a therapist. I had always thought therapy was for other people, people with real problems. But sitting in that office for the first time talking to someone who actually listened without judgment, I realized how wrong I had been. My therapist helped me understand that I had been tying my entire self-worth to external things, my job, my relationship, my bank account. When those things disappeared, I had nothing left to stand on. We worked on rebuilding my foundation from the inside out. I started keeping a journal, writing down the negative thoughts that consumed me, and actively replacing them with truthful, positive ones. It felt awkward at first, almost fake, but over time, the new thoughts started to feel more natural than the old ones. I also joined a support group for people who were unemployed and struggling. I expected it to be depressing, a room full of people wallowing in their misery. Instead, I found a community of fighters, people who were going through the same thing I was, but refusing to give up. That is where I met Marcus. Marcus had been laid off from his accounting job 6 months before I met him. But unlike me, he had not let it destroy him. He showed up to every meeting with a smile, encouraging everyone else, even when his own situation was tough. We started grabbing coffee after meetings, then going for walks, then working out together. He became my accountability partner, my cheerleader, and one of the best friends I have ever had. With Marcus pushing me, I finally dragged myself to a gym. The first few weeks were humiliating. I could barely finish a set of push-ups. I felt people staring at my out-of-shape body. But Marcus reminded me that everyone in that gym started somewhere, and the only person I needed to compare myself to was the person I was yesterday. 6 months later, I had lost 30 pounds. Muscles I had not seen since college started reappearing. I had energy again, confidence again. I started waking up early, excited about the day instead of dreading it. While my body was transforming, I was also rebuilding my career. I enrolled in an online certification program for cloud computing, knowing that was where the industry was heading. I spent my evenings studying, practicing, preparing. When I felt ready, I started applying for jobs again. This time, I did not just spray applications everywhere. I was strategic, targeting companies that aligned with my skills and values. The rejections still came, but they did not crush me like before. I learned from each one and kept moving forward. Then one day, I got an email that changed everything. A growing tech startup wanted to interview me. 3 rounds later, they made me an offer. The salary was 20% higher than my old job. I threw myself into the work, determined to prove that they had made the right choice. A year later, I was promoted to team lead. 2 years after Francesca walked out that door, I was a completely different man. I was physically fit, mentally strong, and professionally successful. I bought a new apartment in downtown Boston, the exact neighborhood Francesca used to dream about living in. I also started dating again, but I was not desperate this time. I knew my worth, and I was not going to settle for anyone who did not see it too. That is when I met Sophia. She was a nurse at the hospital where Marcus was getting physical therapy for a knee injury. She was kind, genuine, and beautiful in a way that had nothing to do with makeup or designer clothes. She laughed at my terrible jokes and listened when I talked about my journey. She told me she admired how I had rebuilt myself, not because of where I ended up, but because of the strength it took to get there. Sophia loved me for who I was, not for what I could give her. For the first time in my life, I understood what unconditional love actually felt like. Everything was perfect. My life had never been better. And then my phone buzzed with a text message from a number I did not recognize at first, but I knew the name immediately. Francesca. Let me bring you back to that moment at the company party. Standing there in my tailored suit, drink in hand, surrounded by colleagues who respected me, my phone lit up with her name. 3 years of silence, and now she wanted to talk. Her message was simple but loaded with implication. She said she knew it had been a long time. She said she had been thinking about me. She asked if we could talk. My heart started racing in a way it had not in years. All those memories I thought I had buried came flooding back. The good times, the laughter, the plans we made. Then the bad times. The cold eyes, the suitcase, the door closing behind her. I left the party early, my mind spinning. When I got home, Sophia was curled up on the couch reading a book. She looked up and immediately knew something was wrong. I could never hide anything from her. I sat down and told her everything. I showed her the message. I explained who Francesca was and what she had done. Sophia listened without interrupting, her expression calm and thoughtful. When I finished, she took my hand and said something that showed me exactly why I loved her. She told me I needed to face this, and whatever I decided, she trusted me. That trust, that security, it was everything Francesca never gave me. But I knew Sophia was right. I needed closure. I needed to face my past to fully embrace my future. I texted Francesca back and agreed to meet her at a coffee shop the following Saturday. A public place, neutral ground. When she walked through the door, I barely recognized her at first. She was still beautiful, still had that same long brown hair and striking features. But something was different. The confident, almost arrogant energy she used to carry was gone. She looked tired. She looked uncertain. Her eyes found me, and I watched them widen as she took in my appearance. The fitted shirt that showed off the physique I had worked so hard for. The confident posture. The calm expression. I was not the broken man she had left crying in a cheap apartment. She sat down across from me and started talking almost immediately, like the words had been building up inside her for years. She told me she had made a terrible mistake. She said leaving me was the worst decision of her life. The man she left me for, the one with the fancy car and expensive watch, he turned out to be controlling and cold. He treated her like a possession, a trophy to show off at business dinners. There was no love there, no warmth, no real connection. She said she realized too late that what we had was real. That I was real. She told me she had been following my social media, watching my transformation from afar. She saw the promotions, the new apartment, the photos of me looking healthier and happier than ever. Then she said the words I had imagined hearing 1,000 times during my darkest days. She wanted another chance. She wanted to try again. I sat there in silence, processing everything. A part of me, some old wounded piece that never fully healed, felt a flicker of satisfaction. The woman who told me I was not enough was now sitting across from me, admitting she was wrong. There was validation in that, but a bigger part of me felt something else entirely. I remembered lying on that mattress, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I would ever feel whole again. I remembered the countless therapy sessions, the grueling workouts, the late nights studying for certifications. I remembered building myself back up, brick by brick, not because I wanted to win Francesca back, but because I wanted to survive. She did not love me. She never really did. She loved the idea of me when that idea was convenient. She loved the stable job, the nice apartment, the promise of a comfortable future. When those things disappeared, so did she. And now that I had rebuilt everything she wanted here, she was again. I looked her straight in the eyes and finally spoke. I told her I was not the same person she left 3 years ago. And that was not because I wanted her back. It was because I learned to want myself. I explained that she left me when I needed her most, and that told me everything I needed to know about the kind of love she was capable of giving. I told her she loved me when I was successful, but she did not actually love me. She loved what I could provide. Francesca tried to interrupt, tried to say she had changed, that she understood now what really mattered. But I was not finished. I told her that I was with someone now, someone who loved me when I had nothing to offer. Someone who saw me at my worst and chose to stay. That was the kind of love I deserved, and I was not going to give it up for someone who already proved she would leave when things got hard. I stood up, placed some cash on the table for my coffee, and looked at her one last time. I told her I genuinely hoped she found what she was looking for. But it was not going to be with me. Then I walked out of that coffee shop, and I swear the air outside felt cleaner than it ever had before. For the first time in 3 years, I was truly free from Francesca. Not because she left, but because I finally chose to let go. When I got home that day, Sophia was waiting. I told her everything that happened, every word that was exchanged. When I finished, she wrapped her arms around me and said she was proud of me, not proud that I rejected Francesca, proud that I respected myself enough to know what I deserved. Over the following weeks, Francesca sent a few more messages. She apologized again. She asked if we could at least be friends. I never responded. Eventually, the messages stopped. I like to think she finally understood, or maybe she just moved on to someone else. Either way, it was not my concern anymore. Life continued in the best possible way. My relationship with Sophia grew deeper and stronger. Marcus finally landed a great job at a financial firm downtown, and we celebrated with the best steaks in the city. My mother visited Boston for the first time in years, and I watched her cry happy tears when she saw the man I had become. 1 year after that meeting with Francesca, I took Sophia to the same Italian restaurant where I had my first date all those years ago. But this time I was not a young man full of naive hope. I was a grown man who had walked through fire and come out stronger. I got down on one knee and asked her to spend the rest of her life with me. She said yes before I even finished the question. Our wedding was small, just close family and friends held in a garden outside the city. Marcus was my best man. My mother gave a speech that had everyone in tears. And when I looked at Sophia in her white dress, I finally understood what real love was supposed to feel like. Sometimes I still think about Francesca. Not with anger or resentment, but with a strange kind of gratitude. She taught me the most important lesson of my life, even if the teaching was painful. She showed me that my value does not depend on my job title or my bank account, or whether someone chooses to stay. My value comes from within, from the person I choose to be every single day. I want to share a few things I learned through all of this in case you are going through something similar right now. First, when someone leaves you at your lowest point, they do not deserve to have you at your highest. That is not bitterness talking. That is self-respect. Second, a real glow-up is not about getting abs or making more money. Those things are nice, but the real transformation happens inside. It is about learning to love yourself, to believe you are worthy, even when everything around you is falling apart. Third, when an ex comes back after you have glowed up, pay attention to the timing. If they only want you when you are successful, they do not want you. They want your success. And finally, you deserve to be loved unconditionally. If you do not have that kind of love in your life right now, start by giving it to yourself. Everything else will follow. So, if you are watching this and you are at your lowest point, if someone just walked out on you, if you feel worthless and alone, I need you to hear me. This is not the end of your story. This is the beginning of your glow-up. And someday, when they come crawling back, you will have the strength to say no. Not because you hate them, but because you finally love yourself enough. Now I have a question for you. Have you ever had an ex try to come back after you glowed up? What did you do? Did you give them another chance, or did you walk away? Drop your story in the comments below. I read every single one, and I know there are people in this community who need to hear that they are not alone. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. It helps more than you know. Subscribe to this channel if you want more stories like this, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it today. Maybe they are going through their own dark chapter right now, and this could be the reminder they need that better days are coming. Thank you so much for watching and for being part of this community. I am sending you strength, courage, and all the self-love you deserve. Take care of yourself, believe in your worth, and never forget that your glow up is already in progress, even if you cannot see it yet.